News brief: the Warface development team has split from Crytek to form its own independent studio, Blackwood Games. The new opening will be led by Crytek's former creative director Michael Thompson, and will take over all further development of the Warfare franchise, including all of the previously announced updates. Thompson explained it was a tough decision to leave Crytek, which will now focus on its car franchises and other long-term plans, but claimed it will allow the dev team to keep it rating on a free-to-play shooter in a way that lives up to players' expectations. Bluepoint Games has a reputation for technical excellence, one built on shipping everything from the VR Collection told us, your schedule of the Colossus remake. And at the 2019 Game Developers Conference you will get an inside look at how the studio shapes its remarkable collections and remakes. As part of DD 2019 X programming track of talks, Bluepoint Games technical director Peter Dalton will provide an overview of the studio's technical pipeline in Beyond the Remake of Shadow of the Colossus, a technical perspective, using lots of examples from Bluepoint's own projects. Dalton will share strategies for building flexible systems that make it easier to support the unique problems each game presents. He will also present Kid Insight Sinto, the major AAA titles undergo a remake, with their night worlds guiding and inspiring fellow devs to push the technical limits of their own work. Do not miss it. Further details on these talks and many more are available now on THEGDC 2019 session scheduler. There you can begin to lay out your DD 2019, which takes place March 18th through the 22 at the newly renovated Moscone Center in San Francisco. Bring your team to DD. Register a group of 10 or more and save 10% on conference passes. Learn more. For more details on THEGDC 2019 visit the show's official website, or subscribe to regular updates via Facebook, Twitter, OS. Gamasutra and DD are sibling organizations under parent company Informa. For a game about piloting giant mechs, it sure feels good to run around on foot in Titanfall. Well, maybe not on foot exactly, since when you are outside your Titan, you will mostly be leaping through the air and running along walls. This is a game in which you can traverse levels at fantastic speed and explore their full vertical heights, using a moveset which not only rewards skill, but is also surprisingly intuitive to grasp. And it feels great, even with a gamepad. Titanfall is a model of first-person fluidity and precision on gamepad, while also capturing a sense of your pilot's and Titan's physical body. This moveset and sense of motion emerged from the first-person shooter greats. Both Titanfall, which was released in March 2014, and its sequel, which was released in October 2016, were built in heavily adapted versions of the Source engine, and therefore inherit the fundamental control systems of Half-Life 2. But in sculpting the game's actual feel, developer Respawn was also looking back to another classic, Halo Combat Evolved. It's still the gold standard, says senior software engineer Ray Davidson, as he began to block out the controls for the game that would become Titanfall. He had loaded up Halo, the second level, and played its first encounter over and over again, killing off all the line apart from a single grunt. Then I could dance around him and see what Bunny did, he says, noting how it deals with aim assist, and how its stable view as you walk gets across a sense of Master Chief's indomitability. The team did not adopt all Halo's lessons, by any means. For instance, Titanfall has viewbot to communicate an awareness of physical motion, but they wanted it to maintain some of Halo's steadiness. Intuiting from what they did, it seemed they had a big focus on making it so players could shoot the bad guys as easily as possible and not get motion sick. And not getting motion sick became a big part of Titanfall. SAS multiplayer design let out Alderman. Motion sickness in first-person games is complex and subjective. But Respawn found that when they added a viewbot, but kept the crosshair fixed to the center of the screen, it would feel like the player character was constantly looking left, right, causing some players to feel nauseous. I think a big thing that causes motion sickness is a disconnect between what you are seeing on screen and what you are trying to do, says programmer-led software engineer on Haggerty. Any time we move the view without your input, that can cause motion sickness. Alongside these fundamentals, Respawn also started to develop Titanfall's emblematic Valorant, which takes a central part in its overall movement system, because it grants the speed boost that gives both games their kinetic emphasis. The Valorant also feels skillful to pull off, despite actually being simple to initiate. Haggerty began to develop the Valorant system by allowing players to freely walk on walls by pulling towards them, instead of having gravity pull them down. He then tested it in Half-Life 2, specifically the section just after you get the pistol, where train tracks ran through a wall channel. I was just running around that 4 days, messing around. He laughs. You do it a bit. Something goes wrong, so you change the code, and then you do it again, and you do it a few hundred times, and you end up with something that's reasonable. From there it was a matter of adding features like gravity, gradually pulling the player down over time and refining with designers as they implemented it in levels. To the player it's a matter of jumping into a wall, and they simply start running along it. For the game, it meant having to define between slopes and walls. Slopes are complicated, and also having it constantly track down the player for surfaces that can be run along, disregarding such elements as the sides of steps. One change between Titanfall and Titanfall 2 was to stop players who were starting their runs near the tops of walls from falling off, because the arc took them over the top. It sounds like a simple fix, but it was a challenge since it added yet another thing for the game. You need to check about the world to now read a computationally expensive list. Part of its easy feel is down to the way Titanfall communicates what's going on, tilting the view away from the wall to indicate that you are running on it. One thing that was added and immediately made it feel much better was Alderman's suggestion to tilt the view as the player starts to jump towards a wall, but before they begin to run, allowing them to anticipate it. Encouraging players to want to run in the first place was another matter. People would not trust the wall run and press the button as quickly as they could, and they did end up jumping right off it. Says Haggerty. Training people to trust the wall is hard, because it looks like you are going to fall. The solution was in level design. Whether in the first Titanfall's training sections, or in having early enforced wall running in Titanfall 2's campaign, the next problem was to give players a reason to wall run. That's funny. Actually, Haggerty says, when you had wall running for a while and it was like, why would you wall run when you can just run around? This is where wall running's speed boost came in, an incentive that came to inform Titanfall's distinctive speed through motion design, in which by performing acrobatics players can traverse the levels at up to 30 mph, well over double a pilot's sprint speed. While running itself gives a boost, and jumping off the wall boosts still further. The slide move, achieved when the player hits crouch while sprinting, also grants a small speed boost. We talked about sliding for a long time, and I was always like, oh, whatever, that's stupid, says Hafferty. I ended up doing it one day, and throwing a basic slide, and people loved it. A slide is mostly just regular ground walking movement, except you cannot stop or change the action as easily, and it gives you a little boost when you start it. It's all the same code, plus some minor tweaks. The slide is an important part of high-level play, because it allows players to chain speed-boosting moves together on open ground, and it enables slide hopping.